welcome you to the nation's capital, Nationals Park, the venue for the opening game of a 3-game series, a kickoff to a 7-game road trip for the Reds as they take on the National League East leading Washington Nationals. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Great to have you with us for Reds baseball. Now, we know the weekend collectively for the Reds was a loss, but individually, yesterday turned out to be a pretty good day for Todd Frazier. 2 weeks ago was 2.5 million votes behind Matt Carpenter. He won the voting by over 2 million. It was incredible the way the Reds fans again stepped up.
It really was a great show of support for Todd Frazier and, of course, for Mike Trout, who was also involved in that with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim getting in there on the act as well. But Todd Frazier, it's not just about a vote for your favorite guy.
Yep.
It is about a guy that has really earned it this year. I mean, he has outdone his numbers from last year, and last year was his best year ever in the major leagues. You see where he is as he ranks in the National League. Second in home runs, first in extra base hits. He's already got more doubles than he had all of last year, by the way. And he's fourth in slugging. He is the one guy in the lineup right now that every pitcher on the opposition just simply doesn't want to pitch to.
You say those numbers look pretty good? How about this guy?
Well, yeah. Bryce Harper, yeah. You know, you may say Todd Frazier a little bit of a late bloomer because he's 29 years old. Bryce Harper will play this entire season at age 22. This will be his third All-Star game, and he is simply mashing. If they can keep this young man healthy for a long time, there are a lot of records that this young man is going to break along the way, but he's had some injuries along the way. He's had 2 bouts of thumb injuries. He's had a knee problem, and he plays hard and sometimes puts himself in a position where he might get himself hurt. But right now, all he's doing is hurting the other team.
Nationals on quite a roll right now, especially here at home. Boy, they're pitching. Wait till you see some of these numbers. Jim Day has that. We have all the play-by-play action around the bend. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Here at Nationals Park, and now bright sunshine, blue skies primarily above, and we're set for baseball. The opener of 3 between the Reds and the Washington Nationals, who come in at 10 games over 500. Doug Fister making just 11 start of the year, a 3-4 record, an ERA of under 4.5. Brandon Phillips digging in. He looks at a first pitch fastball, steal right one, and this one is underway. Brandon at 279, 5 home runs, 31 runs batted in. He knocked in the lone Reds run of the game yesterday and starts out the night with a base hit into left field. And already you can hear a few Reds fans in the nation's capital here tonight. But look at the Reds starting lineup under manager Brian Price, a team season high, 8 games under 500. The lineup presented by Meyer. Votto coming up, followed by the All-Star starting third baseman Frazier, Bruce Bird and Pena in the middle. Suarez at short, DeSclafani bats 8th, Billy Hamilton in center will bat 9th. Brandon already with 11 stolen bases in 12 attempts so far this season. And Votto looks at strike 1. Joey in his worst slump of the season. 5 hits in his last 44 at-bats, and over the last 3 weeks, he has just 3 extra base hits and just 4 runs batted in. Trying to snap out of that on this road trip to close out the All-Star break. To the right side, they get one, and just beating the throw is Votto at first base. Let's check in downstairs with Jim Day.
Tom, you know when you face the Nationals, you're going to face elite pitching, particularly in their home ballpark. You check out our Elk and Elk storylines. They're riding a 9-game home winning streak. And over that time, a 1.08 ERA for their starters, and their strikeout to walk ratio is off the charts. And their starters, 0.44 ERA, 3 earned runs in just 61 innings in that 9-game home winning streak. So the Reds have their work cut out for them.
I mean, those numbers are of historical significance. It is just staggering what they have done in so many categories. Not only that ERA, but a big part of that, of course, is not putting guys on base that haven't earned their way on base. They have issued no more than 2 walks in each of their last 18 games overall. That's home or the road. And you talk about historic company, that has only been done by one team since 1933. So some of these numbers being put together by this very talented Washington Nationals starting rotation. Gio Gonzalez, Max Scherzer, Doug Fister, Strasburg just went on the DL again the other day. We saw Tanner Roark at our place. He actually replaced Strasburg and did a good job again.
Well, you know, I think, Tom, that every pitching coach out there preaches throw strikes, but this pitching staff has taken it to heart with Steve McCatty, and that really seems to be his motto from the very beginning on, is to attack the strike zone early, go right after the hitters. And Doug Fister is a great example of a guy that came over here after he was traded from the Detroit Tigers, won 16 games last year after winning 14 the year before with the Tigers. And his earned run average was way better, really pitching to contact. Lots of strikes.
Straight up in the air off the bat of Frazier. It should be the second out of the inning, and it is. The Nationals have a number of their regular players out with injury. No Ryan Zimmerman. They're hoping to have him back after the All-Star break. Jason Worth is out till August the 1st. They're also without their very talented third baseman Anthony Rendon. He's been on the DL a couple of times. But when you pitch like they're pitching, Chris, you don't need a ton of offense.
One thing about baseball, all you need is a hot pitcher on a particular night and somebody to drive a run in.
And a single run is not hard from the truth as far as winning games, the way they're pitching. They just finished off a series sweep against the defending world champion Giants over the weekend. Strike 1 to Jay Bruce, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Now, when you watch Doug Fister pitch, you're not going to see an overpowering fastball. I mean, it's running up there anywhere from 85 to 88 miles an hour. Mixing in lots of different stuff. Little curveball that he uses a lot, and a changeup. Primarily a ground ball pitcher. He's a big, tall guy, 6'8", from Merced, California, making start number 163 of his major league career.
In the air right field, coming hard is Harper. He'll get there, and the inning is over. So the Reds get a leadoff single, nothing thereafter. The Nationals are coming up. Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy, check out their award-winning lineup only at your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. Well, it's always so nice to come here to Washington, D.C. Of course, so much to do, so much to see. And Chris, you're always bouncing around, going from one spot to another, and there are plenty of them. We look at the Nationals lineup under their second-year skipper, Matt Williams. Denard Span, Yunel Escobar, Bryce Harper to start it, Ramos catching, Robinson at first base, Espinoza at second. The slumping Ian Desmond at short, Michael Taylor in left, and Pfister on the mound. Anthony DeSclafani is putting together a very fine rookie season. 5 wins, 6 losses, but an ERA just slightly over 3.5, and he has really been a solid pickup in his first year as a Red coming over from the Marlins.
It's a great way to put it, solid. I think that probably wraps it up as well as any word out there. I mean, he's had his games where he's had some rough luck. He's also had some games where his control hasn't been that good. But when he controls the fastball, he's got to put away sliders. So those are a combination of 2 really fine pitches right there. He's going to build on. He's getting better and better at using his changeup. Fewer hits in innings pitched, that's a good sign. And if he can reduce the walks, he would really see himself shoot up there as far as being able to go deeper into a ball game and more quality starts.
Now, you bring up that point, and he's coming off a game where he threw more pitches than any game in his career. 122 pitches. That was a game, Chris, you and I were talking about that, maybe we saw Brian Price starting to give these young pitchers a little more rope, challenging them to go that one more inning. Frequently we've seen guys like DeSclafani and Lorenzen and a little bit of Iglesias where you get through 6, you've given up a couple of runs, and then hit the showers.
Well, he's the one guy without really any kind of a governor on the number of pitches he's going to throw all season long. DeSclafani is. So I'm glad to see Brian Price go up there. It was interesting when we had the Twins in town right before the Brewers were in town, Tom, and Herb Blyleven talked about the pitch count, how he hates it. Here's a Hall of Famer talking about that. He said, whoever came up with the number of 100. I do recall many times Greg Maddux saying, you don't really learn how to pitch until after you've already thrown 100 pitches in a game, and I agree with that 100%.
1-2 on Denard Span. And right back up the middle, but in the air long enough for Suarez to get there one away. Now, I'm going to tell you right from the beginning here, folks, we are sitting nearly as high as the tallest building in the nation's capital. They don't have the big skyscrapers here for many, many reasons, most of them, of course, for protection. But we are way up here in the top of this ballpark. So looking down, and we're what, 6 stories up, 7 stories up, something like that? I mean, it's hard for the first few innings to get a read on balls coming off the bat.
You haven't been here in a while, have you?
I was here last year, but we only come here one time a year.
The trick is, and you know this, but I'll tell this to the people who are
sitting at home. No, tell me.
When a ball goes into the air, rather than you trying to gauge where that ball is going to go, watch the outfield. They'll tell you whether the ball is going into the seats or whether they think that it's playable. There's your trick and tip of the night. Playable.
All right, that's a 2-hopper to the shortstop. And from our satellite view, the throw is in time, 2 away. And all of a sudden, here's that pop-up shower. And I think they're going to play through this for a little while, unless it gets really bad. The Reds defense presented by Ford. Hamilton flanked by Bird and Bruce. Frazier, Suarez, Phillips, and Votto third to first. And a battery of DeSclafani and Pena. Well, the kid from Las Vegas is not used to this kind of rain, and here comes Bryce Harper. And no sooner did it start, it stops. I wish the debt clock would do that. That thing never stops. Drove by one of those today. It looked like your bank account.
The debt clock?
Yeah.
Where did you see that?
I saw it off on a billboard off to the side of the road. And I thought to myself, goodness gracious. It doesn't even take a breath. It starts, it stops. And here it is again.
And it's just coming down too hard.
Yep. Well, the Reds know all about this, unfortunately. A lot of other teams do, too, so far this year, with all the rain across really the entire country except for drought-ridden California. But my, oh my, 14 rain delays, this now being the 15th rain delay, totaling 19 hours, 10 minutes, leading to 3 postponements and 1 suspended game. And actually, it was 15 before tonight, I beg your pardon, covering 21 hours. We were given some misinformation on that a little bit earlier, so now we have it cleaned up.
Well, Tom, I'm no weather expert like your dad, but I can tell you that.
Like who?
Like your father, Marty. You know him.
I know
does some
him.
radio from time to time.
What did you say?
A weather expert.
Okay.
Self-avowed, though I will defer to him most of the time. This shower was really supposed to come in here about 3 hours ago and then leave and then be pretty good for the game. So I don't think it's going to last too long, although to our left is sunshine. I mean bright sunshine, and to our right it's a little bit dark. So right now the mule's tail is wet, and that means it's raining.
Well,
what else you got?
On this trip, are you planning any sightseeing?
I'm going to the Newseum tomorrow. It's a museum about news, about all the different ways I think that you can get news or have gotten news over the years and so on. And I've been to most of all the museums. You know, the one thing I went to last year here, and I wouldn't mind going back again, is the Supreme Court building. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of, it's really neat just to walk in. I don't know if the court is in session or not right now. I didn't look it up. But it's just the feeling that you get when you walk into that courtroom. Of course, you go in as a part of a tour, but you get to stand there, kind of soak it all in, and think of all the decisions that have been made in that room over the years that have affected each and every one of us. It's really humbling to think that.
They've been in the news a little bit the last couple of weeks.
They have been. They have been. But it's quite a place.
Well, it's nearly stopped. We don't suspect, and you can see that the grounds crew, they're actually just staying on the field. I mean, they didn't pull the tarp, put it on, and then run for cover. This is exactly what they were calling for after that original forecast Chris mentioned a moment ago. Is that it might be a spot shower here, a spot shower there. And we'd like to think it'd only be a few minutes before we're up and running again. All right, Chris, last night while the Reds were flying to D.C., the starters were announced for the All-Star game. Let's begin in the National League. And, you know, this is a year. Take away the Kansas City Royals controversy. As far as the National League is concerned, you would have a very hard time arguing with any of the players at any of the position that the fans voted in. Goldschmidt, no doubter. Gordon, no doubter. Frazier, no doubt. Holiday, no doubt. Harper, for sure. Stanton, for sure. Posey, a couple catchers are having good years. And then Peralta's having an excellent season. Tulowitzki's having a good year, too.
Now, Stanton, of course, is on the disabled list right now. He had hand surgery where they took out a hamate bone, or they're going to have a hamate bone operation. I don't know what the exact status of his surgery is, but I imagine that he's not going to be able to play in the All-Star game, but he certainly was having the kind of year that would warrant him enough votes. So when you compare the National League All-Stars, starters, all voted in, compared to the American League All-Star, all voted in, and you have 4 Kansas City Royals starting, what swayed the vote there? Just Kansas City's fan base went out and voted as much as they possibly could, which supposedly was 35 times each.
Well, you look over in the American League, and here are all those players from the Royals. You see Lorenzo Cain. He's having just a really, really good year. Mike Trout, you mentioned coming from not the back of the pack, but coming on strong. Altuve and the Astros have been one of the great stories all year long in baseball. You talk about a significant injury. Miguel Cabrera voted in as he started, but he is now out and will not be playing in the All-Star game. So they're going to have to figure out who's going to be over there at first base. We might see Albert Pujols. He leads the league with 25 home runs and 53 runs batted in. I like that National League team. Don't you?
Well, every year. I mean, we're National League guys. So
but that's a good-looking team now.
You know what it usually comes down to, though, is great pitching, because good pitching always stops good hitting, and you've got the best pitchers in the league out there, knowing that they only have to throw 1 or maybe 2 innings at most. It comes down to somebody taking advantage of a hanging breaking ball or maybe an error, an untimely error, and all of a sudden you've got one team or another on top. But I do like that National League team. Yeah, you can see Prince Fielder over there at first base, having a heck of a year himself. He's second in the league in hits, second all of baseball in hits behind D. Gordon. He's batting almost .350. So he's representing Texas. He might fill in for Miguel Cabrera. It's ought to be fun. I mean, the fact that it's in Cincinnati, you know, now in the last homestand, all the decorations started going up around town.
New scoreboard.
And you could just feel the energy more and more. And I'm kind of disappointed that we're going to be away all week and not be able to kind of participate in the feel of what's going on in Cincinnati all week long leading right up. We don't get back until Sunday evening after the Reds play their final game before the break against the Marlins in Miami. Day game, we'll be back fairly early, but still, we'll miss the Futures game. And I believe is the Celebrity All-Star game that night, that day as well. Well, those are great events, which ought to be a lot of fun. The Fan Fest is going on, everything going around in the city, downtown. Just to be down there and getting into it, that's what I'm going to miss, but I'm going to try to make the best of it when we get back.
Barry Larkin will be kicking off the Fan Fest. He is going to be the guy who has the pair of scissors to cut the ribbon to officially kick it off on Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning. Fox Sports Ohio is going to have an extraordinary amount of programming in and around all the All-Star festivities. Be camped out down there at the Fan Fest. We'll have our own studio built down there. Jim Day will be nonstop. And, Jim, you're doing a very, very special, I don't know what the word would be. It's not a public gathering, but you are going to be conducting another lengthy interview with Major League Baseball's all-time hit leader, Pete Rose, the day of the All-Star game. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a breakfast with Pete Rose, kind of a private function for Fox Sports Ohio sponsors. So we appreciate the sponsors so much that they're going to have breakfast with the Hit King, and we'll take some questions from the audience there and have all kinds of fun. As we've said many times, none better guy to talk baseball than the Hit King. So my honor, really, to MC that event.
Well, some of the programming that we will have for you, 20-plus hours of original programming, over 15 hours of historical Reds programming. The All-Star history of Cincinnati, of course, will be the 5th time Cincinnati's had the All-Star game. It's Major League Baseball's oldest franchise. We will have that interview that Jim Day did in Las Vegas with Pete Rose in its entirety, the entire sit-down interview. And part of that will also include Ray Fosse. He was the catcher that Pete Rose ran over to end the 1970 All-Star game and how his career changed on that fateful night. We'll spotlight Todd Frazier, the starter at third for the National League All-Star team. We'll replay some of the 1976 and 1990 World Series titles. We'll play all the 1975 World Series games. Were you at the 88 All-Star game? I was there that night.
I was not.
Fun night. Really fun night. Not a lot of scoring. The American League won the game, but a fun night nonetheless.
I just think that, you know, if you love baseball and you love Reds baseball, you're going to get to watch on Fox Sports Ohio, you know, the World Series game from 75, Game 2, Game 3, Game 5, and then, of course, Game 7 when the Reds nailed it down. Then the World Series film from 1975, the 1990 World Series. So those are the kind of things that make you kind of feel proud to be a Reds fan when you start watching that type of stuff. And I presume, Tom, that you are probably I know you're going down to the home run hitting, the Derby. You're going to be the on-the-field announcer for the home run Derby. That's quite an honor for you.
Very much. Second time I've had a chance to do it. But it's amazing, Chris, the way that has changed. Because the first time I did it was 1990 at Wrigley Field in Chicago. The home run inning contest was held at 2:30 in the afternoon. And the place wasn't even packed. And I co-hosted the home run derby, the PA part of it. It wasn't nationally televised then. I did it with comedian Bill Murray. And it was just another event. It really wasn't a big deal. And now you look at it, prime time, international world feed everywhere all over the world. AFN, the American Forces Network, will have it as well. And then, there won't be an empty seat in the whole joint.
All right, now the format this year is different. Explain what's going on this year.
Well, there's a lot to it. I think primarily what they're trying to do, Chris, is not having people get bored. And I mean bored by going too long. We all love seeing guys hit home runs. We'll never forget what Josh Hamilton did that year at Yankee Stadium when he hit better than 20 home runs in one of the rounds, but it wasn't the final round, so he didn't end up winning the thing.
Right.
They're putting a 5-minute clock, and they're breaking it down in brackets. So you'll have a top seed through a number 8 seed, and they'll be based on the home run total of players going into the All-Star game. And there'll be a 5-minute clock. And once you get down to 1 minute, depending on the length of the home runs, you could get added time at the end. But under a minute is my understanding now. And I'm not totally boned up yet on all the rules. Good Lord willing, I will be by then. I better be. But once you hit a home run, the clock stops. If your next swing you hit a ground ball or a line drive or a foul ball, it starts again. But if you keep hitting home runs, the clock stays stopped.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
Because there's nothing worse than watching a guy up there, waiting for his pitch. And his pitch has to be, the perfect pitch.
Sure.
So he's taken 6 pitches in a row. Meanwhile, the guy he brought to be his batting practice pitcher is straining a little bit more and a little bit more nervous. Now, the pressure is really on the batting practice pitcher because he's got to throw strikes, not only good, but good strikes for home runs. So that really is a nice element that they've added that will make it a lot more interesting, in my opinion.
And I think at the end of the day, if you're bringing your kids, and a lot of people will be bringing young kids and family members, maybe even some senior citizens that are coming, that you don't want to be up till 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. By putting this 5-minute clock on each batter at the plate, you're pretty much guaranteed of that entire thing from start to finish to be just under 3 hours when all is said and done, and that's like going to a ball game.
Yeah.
We learned earlier that Bryce Harper has gone on record as saying, by the way, that he will not participate in the home run derby. So right from the get-go on the National League side, Frazier has said he will. I would imagine he's going to be the captain of that team. Mm-hmm. Bryce Harper's not going to do it. Giancarlo Stanton can't do it. So, you start looking around over in the American League, you've got Albert Pujols. Now, he's not a member of the team. You don't have to be a member of the team. He will be on the All-Star team. And I would imagine he'll do the home run derby. I'm guessing on that. You got J.D. Martinez, Mike Trout, Nelson Cruz, Mark Teixeira. Those are your top 5 in home runs over in the American League. In the National League, talk about Frazier. He's tied for second with Harper, Stanton the leader. Then after that, you've got Nolan Arenado. You've got Jock Peterson, Paul Goldschmidt. Those guys are good hitters. I don't think you look at them as being the sluggers.
No, but in Great American Ballpark, does it really matter? If you go out and just come down to the ballpark early, it doesn't matter what team is in there. Come down in July or August when it's nice and warm, and I presume it'll be warm next week. That ball is flying out of there. You're seeing middle infielders that end up with 5 home runs a year, hitting them out one after another after another. That's why the home run hitting contest at Great American Ballpark ought to be very interesting. The only wild card there is what you mentioned about the rule change this year, about the distance of the home run. You'll get extra swings and so on. I'm not so sure I buy into that, but it is what it is. But I think the fact that a little guy who may not have to hit him as far as Giancarlo Stanton or even Todd Frazier can still compete in that home run hitting contest by hitting him in the first row. we've seen a bunch of players take advantage of the small confines there to get their home run total up.
You know, we brought up during the Minnesota series when you and I were together most recently about, you know, the Reds fans. And, look, we do the Reds games, so the easiest thing in the world would be sit up here and talk about how great the fans are all the time. When you look at what the Reds fans, when challenged with 3 different examples here over the last 5-7 years, Joe Nuxhall, God rest his soul, every year in the Ford Frick Award as a broadcaster for the Baseball Hall of Fame, he gets more votes than any other broadcaster because of Reds fans. Now, there's more to just that voting than getting in for that award, so Joe isn't there yet. But it's not from a lack of enthusiasm from the fan base. Joey Votto, a few years ago, was one of the 5 final players for the National League All-Star team and won in a landslide, again due to fan balloting, and especially Reds fans balloting. Todd Frazier, unbelievably, I mean, it's astonishing, was 2.5 million votes behind Matt Carpenter on June the 16th. A week later, that gap had narrowed to 63,000. When the final numbers were announced last night, Frazier, in a 2-week time frame, came from 2.5 million behind to win by over 2 million votes. Jim Day talked to Todd Frazier earlier.
All right, thanks, guys. Todd Frazier, 2-time All-Star now, but first time to be a starter. Day after, how's it feel?
It feels just the same. It's really cool. It's exciting. Had a bunch of people sending me texts and emails, and a lot of calls, and talking with friends and family. You can hear the excitement out of them, and I'm definitely excited, proud, and like I said the other day, just endless thank yous to numerous people, and they know who they are for sure.
Riding over here, you told me that you got over 150 text messages, and you returned each and every one of those. Took almost 2 hours, right?
Yeah, basically. It's you get carpal tunnel doing all that stuff, but it's nice. It's great to see the people, friends and family, and a lot of people that I haven't talked to who found a way to get my phone number and reach out. It means a lot to me. It's also, it attributes to them helping me out. All the, the endless people that, worked their, tireless hours to help me out, and those people that go unnoticed. And, again, thank you so much.
You got introduced last year as an all-star, but what do you think it's going to be like to be introduced as a starter for your first time and in your home park?
Yeah, you think about it every day before you go to bed. It's pretty cool. It's hopefully, time stops, to be honest with you, because that's something that you want to relish forever, especially with your family there. I know my wife's going to be taking a lot of pictures. My dad's going to be probably tearing up with my mom, and both my brothers and friends are going to be there. So it's I have a bunch of people staying at the house. I have a bunch of hotel rooms taken care of, and it's just going to be exciting. I just want, for those 2 days, I want, hopefully my son can realize a little bit of what's going on, but I don't think he will until he gets older. It's going to be a great time.
The starters are a fan vote, and sometimes, let's face it, it's a popularity contest. Some guys make it to the starting lineup when they're not having a great year. How much more satisfying is it that your numbers warrant that you deserve it more than anyone else?
10 times. I would. I'd feel sick to my stomach if I was a guy, not putting up the numbers that I've been putting. And, there's other guys, too, as well that could be starting. But, I feel like I deserve it. I feel like the efforts I've been putting in this year deserve it and qualify. And, to bring it home to Cincinnati and be one of those guys, Cincinnati guy representing Cincinnati and playing in Cincinnati, dreams do come true, basically. That's all I can say.
I would assume, and it would be the upset of the century if you're not in the home run derby. Can you confirm that you are? And if you are, how cool is it going to be at GABP?
Yeah, it would be cool. I mean, I can't confirm yes or no right now, but once it does come out, it's going to be nice, basically. So, if I do get that opportunity, my brother's ready to go, and I actually just heard that Harper's not doing it, so they put that on TV. So it's time. If I get an opportunity, they take the top 8. So just put 2 and 2 together. We'll see what happens.
Well, congratulations, man. We're very happy. Very well deserved.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Reds fans, and friends, family, and people back at home that helped out.
Prior to the All-Star game, and the number of games can vary year to year depending on when the season begins. But you go all the way back to 1933, and only the Hall of Famer Johnny Lee Bench had more extra base hits at the break than Todd Frazier does right now, but Todd has this road trip.
Those are great numbers. Obviously, if you're in a category with anything with Johnny Bench, you're doing well. But if you look at Todd Frazier's comparison from 2013 and then 2014 and then this year, I mean, he just seems to be getting better every year. He's now 29 years old, so sometimes they say, well, baseball players, they peak about age 27, and they usually stay at that plateau, but Frazier keeps adding to it. Last year, overall, he had 22 doubles all year long. He's already at 24. Last year, he had 29 home runs. He's already at 25 this year, and he's got another whole half a season to go. He's only played 79 games. So, Frazier is just keeps getting better and better. I love the way he does it. He has not really changed his approach. He's just gotten better at what he does. And the fact that he's out there every day before batting practice, signing autographs, hobnobbing with people behind home plate, what other players sometimes they just don't feel comfortable doing that. And I'm not getting on those guys, but I mean Frazier feels just comfortable socializing with as many people as possible, and I think he feeds off of it. And that's one reason why he's really become a fan favorite in Cincinnati. And that's one of the other reasons, Tom, why I think he had such a great rush of votes at the very end. Because if he wasn't as personable and as out there as he is, I mean, that New Jersey personality of his is right out there everywhere he goes.
And Reds fans love that.
Absolutely.
They love it.
And I mean, if you're bringing a kid to a ball game and you happen to meet Todd Frazier, he's going to take time to look the kid in the eye, may even pick him up and put him on his shoulder for all you know. And, again, so other players may just not be as comfortable doing that. So it's not like they're less of a player or anything else, but that really helped him as far as fans getting behind him when the Reds started to get that push going. They pushed the right guy.
All right, well, we understand this game is going to start in 7 minutes.
Nice.
7:45. Tarp's been rolled up, and they're getting some of that drier dirt on top of the stuff that's a little bit damp. And so we will take a commercial timeout, and when we come back, we will be searching for something to talk about. Jim Day, when we come back, is going to have a little bit more on the 1938 All-Star game. Stick around for that.
set between the Reds and Nationals from the nation's capital. We're in a brief rain delay here at Nationals Park. We kicked off our All-Star coverage this morning at 7 a.m. And tonight, following Reds Live postgame, you heard Tom talk about it, the sit-down with Pete Rose. We've had many questions. We've kind of chopped it up over the weeks. When are we going to air that thing in its entirety? It's coming up immediately after Reds Live postgame, so stay tuned for that. You'll see the entire sit-down with the hit game. Tomorrow at 2:30, Reds Memories. At 3 o'clock, we'll air Game 3 of the 1975 World Series. At 6 o'clock, will be All-Star Live with Jeff Pecoro and Brian Gieseslaw, followed by the normal Reds Live. And then Game 2, Reds and Nationals. And following tomorrow night's Reds Live postgame, it'll be the debut of the Cincinnati All-Star History Spotlight, which we are very much looking forward to bringing to you. Myself and Ron Millenor and others have been working very hard on this. And it's looking back at not only the history of each of the 4 All-Star games previously held in Cincinnati, but the history and culture of the country and the city at the time. And part of it, obviously, was the first All-Star game ever in Cincinnati, that being in 1938. Let's give you a snippet of the show right now.
The Great Flood, the 1937 flood, filled up the ballpark almost to the second deck. In fact, the ball club was going to paint, they did paint a white line around the pillars to show how the height of the floodwaters. And the Chamber of Commerce decided that wasn't very good publicity for the city, and they made them take the white lines off.
And Crosley Field recovered in time for that 1938 All-Star game. And then it set the stage for Johnny Vandermeer, because that 38 game was right after Johnny Vandermeer pitched back-to-back no-hitters and not only captured the hearts of the city of Cincinnati, but captured the nation as well. So that coming up on Cincinnati All-Star Spotlight. We hope you check it out tomorrow night after Reds Live postgame.
All right, Jimbo, thank you very, very much. And here we go. After a short delay, we are right back at it. Anthony DeSclafani with 2 down, nobody on. We're in the bottom of the first inning. Bryce Harper, the batter. First pitch swinging, hits one a mile, but foul. Holy mackerel, did he hit that ball?
You know, what a great a plan for Bryce Harper right there, figuring a long rain delay, not long rain delay, I mean long from a pitcher standpoint when you're having a bat that stops in the middle of it and you come back and he's thinking DeSclafani's coming right after me with a fastball, and he did too, and hit it into the second deck, actually the third deck foul.
Well, the numbers are just astounding for Harper. 347 batted, 25 home runs, and 60 runs batted in. Earned a National League record 13,964,950 fan votes to earn a starting spot in the outfield for the All-Star game at Cincinnati a week from tomorrow. The first Nationals player is Harper to earn All-Star status 3 times. Leads the major leagues in on-base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS. Second in the big leagues in home runs, third in walks, fourth in runs batted in. And his 347 average, third best in Major League Baseball. Breaking ball a little bit low, 2-2 on Harper. Brash, intense, driven. All the above for Harper, and still so young.
Kind of interesting that Bryce Harper growing up was really a Reds fan due to his father being a Reds fan. So when you grow up in Las Vegas, I mean, there's no real close by major league team. A lot of people there, I imagine, are Dodger fans, or maybe a West Coast team fan, but not Bryce Harper, a Reds fan.
When I was with the Diamondbacks, you know, for years and years and years, the Dodgers had a AAA team in Albuquerque, and then they moved over to Las Vegas, and for years and years their games were on the radio. But because it was shared territory, it didn't belong to anybody, that city. We snuck in there and got the Diamondbacks games on the radio for a couple of years. But certainly fans from all over in Vegas. Harper gone on strikes in a perfect first inning for DeSclafani. End of 1 after a rain delay. We're scoreless. no score in the first of 3 between the Reds and the Washington Nationals. Reds will have Marlon Byrd, Brian Pena, and Eugenio Suarez against right-hander Doug Fister. Fister allowed a leadoff single in the first inning, but then retired the next 3. And starts out Byrd with a strike. Marlon comes in with a 10-game hitting streak. The batting average up to 244. It's come up a long way. Since coming off the disabled list, he has 20 hits and 60 at-bats, 4 of those hits for home runs.
Really a completely different hitter. I mean, in the month of April, he could not buy a hit. He didn't look good at the plate. When he did hit the ball hard, it was at somebody. I mean, he was on that interstate for the entire month. It didn't look like he was getting off at all. And he's come a long, long way to get your batting average up around 250. You've got to do some hitting.
Gone on 3 pitches to start things here in the second inning.
Well, if you're looking for fastballs tonight out of Doug Fister, it does not look like you're going to get them. He's featuring a lot of changeups and curveballs.
Well, if you're on the road traveling, want to watch your Redlegs, subscribe to MLB.TV Premium for live or on demand on over 400 devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. 1 away, and here's Brian Pena. Temperature-wise, it is very comfortable in D.C. Bright sunny day today. This can be one of the most brutal areas of the country with all the water nearby as far as humidity is concerned during the summer months here and up the road in Baltimore. I mean, it can be rough. But today and tonight, very nice. We're averaging home attendance wise right around 34,000 per game. And on average, that's the 4th most in the National League behind the Dodgers. Already for the season, over 2 million fans. St. Louis, San Francisco, and then the Nationals. Fister, plenty of time, and just throws it down the line. He had all the time in the world. That ball may have slipped out of his hand. With the rain we had a moment ago, that grass is wet. Took him a little while to get the tarp on the field, and that'll be an error, one would assume, on Fister.
Error all the way is where they're going to call that, and it's a good call. You know, what he does not do here is really set his feet. He just kind of steps and throws. He throws sidearm. He usually has an overhand delivery, so he's not used to throwing the ball sidearm, and he throws it wide of first base. Well, that is a gift right there, a little tapper back to the mound.
Eugenio Suarez playing in his 21st game since taking over for the injured Zach Cozart. Understand Cozart's coming along slowly, but coming along well. We see him at the ballpark when the Reds are at home on a daily basis. He was off to such a tremendous start to this season. And Suarez has done a really good job with the bat. Now, he's had some issues in the field. Breaking ball away, 1-2 on Suarez.
That's a fastball. So if you're looking at the radar gun readings in the little lower box square, you're thinking 86 miles an hour nowadays is way low, because it seems like the average major league fastball now is somewhere between 92 and about 96. Fister's going to have to pitch.
Diving play made the second baseman Espinosa, and safe to call it first as Robinson never found the bag.
Wow. Robinson is off the bag, but as soon as this ball is hit, he needs to scamper back and be standing on that white thing down there, and he's not even close. Or you get your second baseman to make a play like that on a ball hit right up the middle, it looks like a base hit all the way, and your first baseman's not covering first base. That's a little bit of a letdown in the infield, I can guarantee you that.
Of course, when we saw Robinson at Great American Ballpark, they had him playing left field. So now DeSclafani has to bunt with one out and runners at first and third, and he rolls it foul. Anthony, 6 hits and 29 at bats. That ties him for the team lead for most hits among the Reds pitchers. And they have a group of pretty decent hitting pitchers. But with one out, trying to avoid a double play, at least on the first pitch they had him bunting. That's no guarantee he'll bunt the rest of the way. Suarez thrown out at first base as DeSclafani attempted to bunt it and missed it. And just like that, 2 are out in the inning.
He didn't even attempt to bunt it. I don't know what Suarez was going. Maybe he thought there was a hit and run on, or maybe he thought there was a bunt and run on. I'm not sure. Certainly would not. You would even speculate about a double steal, not with Brian Payne at third base. So.
And what do you know? On the next pitch, with 2 outs, DeSclafani swings away and rips a double down the left field line to give the Reds a 1-0 lead. How about that?
Take matters into your own hands.
Good job, Brian. On the base.
Pretty much a fastball grooved right down the middle.
Mistake-prone inning here for Pfister. His throwing error allowed Pena to reach base to begin with on what should have been the second out of the inning with nobody on. And now that run comes around to score. Yes, it's an unearned run. As it's ball 1 to Billy Hamilton at 224. 3 home runs, 19 runs batted in for Hamilton.
That's a cutter. Ball goes into left-handers.
On the ground to Robinson, he'll go to the bag, and that'll end the inning. But the Reds take advantage of an error by the pitcher Pfister and jump out in front in the second, 1-0.
Told you about Todd Frazier being the starting third baseman in the All-Star game. They announced the reserves tonight, and Aroldis Chapman will join Frazier on that team. We got his reaction to making his 4th straight All-Star game.
En Cincinnati, sí, estamos muy contentos por eso.
I'm really happy. Of course, I'm really happy being the 4th time, yes, but this is more special due to it's at the house. It's in my house. I want to be there, and I was looking forward, and now I'm happy that I'm going back to Cincinnati on the All-Star game, being there. That's what I want, and that's what I like it.
And guys, I went on to ask him, the fans go crazy when that bullpen door opens in a regular season game. What would it be like if they called upon him to close down the All-Star game in Great American Ballpark? He said it would be the biggest thrill of his professional career. And we can also tell you, Johnny Cueto, that final 5 vote that they have? Johnny Cueto is one of the final 5.
All right.
So Reds country, let's put it in action.
Well,
you can get another Red in there voting Johnny Cueto in.
We were just talking about it, when the Reds fans have been asked to deliver the goods. And we're not talking about charity here. I mean, these are guys that have earned it in every case. Votto earned it. Joe Nuxhall earned it. Todd Frazier earned it. And now, Reds fans, your chance to get Johnny Cueto into the All-Star game. In his house, to quote Aroldis Chapman. I'm sure you can go to MLB.com for that, or maybe link up to Reds.com as well for that. Reds.com, you can vote. So jump early, jumped often. 1-0 Reds. Nationals bat here in the 2nd inning, and gone on strikes is Ramos. And Anthony DeSclafani has retired the first 4 of the game.
A couple of strikeouts in a row for DeSclafani. Got the 3-2 slider over to Bryce Harper to end the 1st inning after that rain delay, and he threw a nice slider right there to put Ramos away.
I made a comment earlier about the height of the buildings in downtown. It's so unique here. One of D.C.'s signatures is the low buildings and wide, sunny streets, especially during the summer months. It's one of the things that strikes first-time visitors to this city as much as anything else, and I've had a number of emails in the interim saying, well, what do you mean? A lot of people believe that you go back to 1910, and they had a Height of Buildings Act, and a lot of people believe that you're not allowed to have a building in this city that's taller than the Capitol building in D.C. That is a myth. That is not true. What it says in this city, which is fascinating when you walk around here, is based on the width of the street of which a building sits on. So if the width of the building of the street is, say, 130 feet, and some streets are obviously wider than others, Pennsylvania Avenue, as opposed to, say, 18th Street, most buildings, in the city, are anywhere from 11 to 13, 14 stories high. And it really is so unique to come around in this town from that perspective. No skyscrapers. It's really cool. You feel like you can breathe a little bit. So thank of those of you who emailed and sent in some text and questions and so forth about it. 3-2 pitch. And there's a walk to Clint Robinson. A 1-out walk. 38 of those in 96 innings for DeSclafani. Where would you like to see that number be for him?
You'd like to walk no more than 2 batters every 9 innings, and that's your goal out there. And I think that Anthony is still at the point where he's not so sure that his stuff is good enough to get hitters out, where he's challenging them enough. And all he's got to do is watch what happens when Johnny Cueto pitches. Cueto doesn't walk batters. He makes them put the ball in play. And you see the numbers right there, they bear it out. When you walk too many batters, you lose games. When you have games where you don't walk batters, those are games you win.
Those numbers are amazing.
Yeah. And it's from I can tell you, Tom, as a pitcher, you don't want to be hit. So sometimes you nibble around the corners and you're hoping the guys are going to swing at those pitches. And sometimes you're just missing, and it goes for a ball instead of a strike. And you go right back there again, and you just miss again. And now you really don't want to throw it down the middle, because you know that last time I did, a guy hit it off the wall. So you nibble, and that's where you get yourself into some tough spots. you just dig yourself a hole. Those are the numbers that you were talking about. And this is just amazing. I mean, really amazing. So if you can keep 2 walks or less, that is a simple formula for success. And it works at every level.
Oh, and 2 on Danny Espinosa. Suarez will handle the pop-up in short left field for the second out of the inning. Robinson still at first base, and Ian Desmond coming up. Well, the Reds really took it to these Washington Nationals earlier this season at Great American Ballpark. I mean, they stunned this team. Swept them in a 3-game series. Those are the final 3 days of May. Of course, the Reds have been a very hard team to figure in that regard. I mean, they've absolutely mauled the likes of the Pittsburgh Pirates. They sweep these Washington Nationals. Conversely, you turn around over the weekend and you get swept by a team behind you in your own division. Fastball strike to get ahead 0-2 on Desmond. Gone swinging is Desmond, and that'll retire the side. A walk, a man left. We played 2, and the Reds lead the Nationals 1-0. Photo. Just use hashtag Ohio Data Strong Fan, and you might just see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. We're in the top of the 3rd inning, and the Reds with a 1-0 lead, taking advantage of a Doug Fister throwing error on a comebacker to the mound off the bat of Brian Pena, who wound up scoring on a 2-out double by the pitcher Anthony DeSclafani. Top of the order, Phillips, Votto, Frazier. Brandon had a base hit leading off the game into left field, taking all the way, and it's inside and low ball 1. Pirates in San Diego underway. They're in the third, 1-0. Padres in front. There's a pop-up in his short right. And a nice running catch made by David Espinosa. Before we bring you all of the All-Stars from both the National and American Leagues, there are some changes, of course, due to injuries. So once we have the finalized rosters, we'll put them up there for you. But again, the way it stands as it pertains to the Reds. Todd Frazier will start at third, that we know. Aroldis Chapman is on the All-Star team, that we know. And you can vote to put Johnny Cueto on the All-Star team. He's one of 5 players for the final roster spot. Lined into right field, a 1-out single by Joey Votto. Well, already early changes for the Nationals on defense. Taylor goes from left field into center field. And Matt Dendecker takes over in left field for Taylor. One out, one on. Here's Frazier, who popped up to short center his first time up tonight. 25 home runs, 54 runs batted in.
Last time up, Pfister got Frazier on a little bit of a cut fastball. Frazier just pulled off a bit of hair, but he's set for stuff that is on the outer part of the plate. Really dives into that outer half. And you got to wonder if Pfister feels like his fastball is enough to be able to get in there on him. So he'll continue to go outside as long as he gets guys hacking at it. Coming in there this time. I'm not sure if Todd thought this was high or outside. I thought he was coming inside with that fastball, a little backup fastball that just caught the outside corner at the very top part of the strike zone. It's a dangerous place to pitch in.
Two balls, 2 strikes, and a breaking ball, and barely getting a piece of it with that bat is Frazier to hang around.
Yeah, but that's the difference between this year and last year and the year before for Todd Frazier. He's always taken these kind of swings. You know, his body's going one way, his bat's going another, his helmet's falling off. This year he's able to get the bat on the ball just enough to stay alive, and more often than not, pitcher comes back, makes a mistake, and he's there to hit a line drive.
Right at the second baseman, an easy double play will end the inning. 1 hit, 1 left. Nationals come to bat in the third, trailing the Reds 1-0. Presented by Floyd. Third, Hamilton Bruce in the outfield. Regular cast of characters in the infield. And after back-to-back starts from Tucker Barnhart, Brian Pena back behind the plate hanging the signs for Anthony DeSclafani, who's worked through the first 2 innings and allowed just 1 base runner. That was a 1-out walk in the second inning. Michael Taylor, followed by Pfister, and then the leadoff man, Span. Strike 1. I beg your pardon. Span, of course, is out of the game, so Dendecker will bat third in the inning, hitting out of that leadoff spot. And we've not received any word as to why Span left the game. I already told you they're missing 3 of their regulars, and man, there's some potent bats of that trio now. Talking about Jason Worth, he's out till August. Ryan Zimmerman, their first baseman, they hope to have him back as soon as they start play following the All-Star break. And then Rendon, he didn't play when the Nationals were in Cincinnati. Then he injured his oblique, came back, re-injured, and there's strike 3 called to Taylor. Rendon might be their second best offensive player. He was their best offensive player a year ago.
Well, you were looking at really the middle of the lineup right there. You know, 2, 3, and 4, 3, 4, and 5, however you want to look at it. The quad for Rendon, they're not sure when he will be back. Jason Worth had a wrist injury. He was out taking fly balls. He's swinging a fungo now. They think he'll be back very shortly. And Zimmerman, they believe, will be back having the foot that's plantar fasciitis. We've all probably had a little bout of that from time to time, but his is getting better quickly. They expect him to be back very soon.
Hooked foul by the pitcher Pfister.
So there you go back again, Tom. I mean, we say it all the time. It's not really who you play, it's when you play them. And look how hot the Milwaukee Brewers have been. They roll right into town and never skipped a beat.
Well, they didn't lose a game on that road trip. It started in Philadelphia. They won 4 in a row there. Then came to Cincinnati, won 3 in a row, and they have won 8 consecutive games overall, as they're playing in the first inning at home tonight against the Atlanta Braves, and already the Braves have scored a pair of runs. Cardinals and Cubs open a series tonight. They're in the top of the first inning in Chicago's Wrigley Field. Cardinals swept the Cubs about a week and a half ago in St. Louis. Back-to-back strikeouts in this inning, 3 straight overall for DeSclafani. Well, that first Saturday after the All-Star break is July the 18th. And you can see the Reds and the Indians for as low as $12. The first 25,000 fans in attendance receive an exclusive Get Your Stash On t-shirt thanks to Arm & Hammer. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Cleveland comes to town to begin the mythical second half. They'll be at Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. Then the Cubbies come in for 4 games in 3 days. Base hit right field by Dendecker. The very first pitch he sees coming off the bench.
I think that Anthony DeSclafani may have been too young, but Dendecker and DeSclafani both went to the University of Florida. Dendecker raised in Fort Lauderdale, went up to Gainesville for a few years to play, was an all Southeastern Conference player during his time playing for the Gators. Interestingly enough, he also played high school ball with the number 8 hitter in the lineup, Michael Taylor. They were teammates at Westminster Christian Academy down in Fort Lauderdale. You don't see that very often.
Isn't that the same school that produced Alex Rodriguez?
No, that was one. That's Westminster High School down in Miami.
Oh, okay. All right.
I thought the same thing until I looked it up. And
so they have one. They have a Westminster in Miami and a Westminster in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I'll check that out, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Slow roller. Frazier going to try and barehand it. Comes up empty. And that allows Harper to bat with 2 on in the inning. Scored a base hit all the way for Yunel Escobar, and here's Harper. He struck out swinging his first time up. "25 home runs, a whopping 60 runs batted in for Harper." Two and 0.
Well, they got him out on off-speed pitches his last time up. And you just look at Bryce Harper, you just get the feeling this guy is geared for fastball. I mean, you can hardly throw one that you can get by him. In fact, I remember that series when the Nationals were in Cincinnati. He turned around a fastball on Aroldis Chapman.
Yes, he did.
I think he took it right back through the middle, didn't he?
Yep, it was in the 9th inning of the final game. Taking all the way there, 3-0. They are loaded after retiring the first 2 batters on strikeouts to begin the inning.
You know, sometimes you have a walk because you're wild. Other times you have a walk because it's a situational walk that you're thinking, I've got a better chance of getting the guy behind him rather than pitching to Bryce Harper. And I really think that that's the case for DeSclafani. He's better against right-handers because his slider is better. He struck out Ramos last time on a slider. But he really, once he got behind a Bryce Harper, did not have a pitch to get Harper out. Harper would have to get himself out. So now you make good pitches to Ramos, you got a pretty good chance.
And 1 Ramos. Bases loaded. Reds lead 1-0 with 2 outs, and a grounder foul gets DeSclafani ahead 0-2. And again, that was a breaking ball down and away from him.
Yeah, you know, you get the feeling that just watching Ramos in the batter's box, he's ready for something middle in. I mean, if you hang it in his spot, he's incredibly strong. But you can expand the zone here. There's no reason why you have to throw him a good strike. Not when you're ahead 0-2.
And the runner is safe at the plate.
Boy, is that heads up by Dendecker right there.
Pena to slide over to block that pitch way out of the zone in the dirt. And he kept it in front of him. But it ricochets too far out in front of the plate. And Dendecker, as you mentioned, that secondary lead and not wasting any time. Dendecker very lucky he's not hurt. That's a tough break right there for the Reds. Get ahead of the batter 0-2. You're trying to get him to chase that breaking ball down and away. Turns into a wild pitch and a run scored. They did it again.
Look at the slide here. Dendecker goes head first, which you would never recommend going into home, because you know what you do? You slide into some protective gear like shin guards. Ooh, he is lucky.
Yeah, that was a shoulder injury just waiting to happen.
Or at least a broken nose.
Well, he takes care of Ramos on a bouncer to Phillies. But the wild pitch allows the Nationals to tie the game 1-1 at the end of 3. Ready to bring you the rest of the National League All-Star roster. Former Reds #1 pick, Yasmani Grandal. From the Dodgers will be there. Yadier Molina again. Adrian Gonzalez and Anthony Rizzo at first. DJ LeMahieu, Joe Panik. What a story both of those guys have been. Arenado and Chris Bryant, a late addition. Brandon Crawford, the backup shortstop. McCutchen, Peterson, Pollock, and Upton, the reserve outfield. How about the reserve outfielders there, Chris? Not necessarily McCutchen, but especially Pollock, who we were in Arizona last year when he was injured playing for the Diamondbacks against the Reds. This ball is hammered to center field. And it rattles around out there. And Bruce will pull up with a double to begin the inning. That ball is hit a long way.
Oh, it's a long way out there. This ballpark plays big as it is, and he turned around Michael Taylor a couple of times on this line drive. Boy, Bruce has become very good at hitting the pitch that is up above his belt. I mean, he really likes the high pitch this year.
So now Marlon Byrd, the batter. And the Reds have a chance to recapture the lead, getting a double to start this fourth inning.
Marlon trying to shoot that ball the other way. That ball right in on his thumbs.
We're going to finish that thought real quick, Chris. I remember you and I being in Arizona, how impressive Pollock was last year. And then I think he got hit by a pitch, if I remember right.
I think you're right.
And it ended his season. If I'm not mistaken, it was Cueto that hit it last year in Arizona while we were there. And he came all the way back, and now he's off to his first All-Star game. Peterson has been an incredible story. I mean, you talk about long odds now. Well, the outfielders the Dodgers have run through that town the last couple of years. And if you had to bet money on one guy going to the All-Star team from their outfield, Peterson would not have been the odds-on favorite.
I'm sure that there were a lot of teams asking about him along the way, though, thinking that he was excess because they had so many other outfielders already under contract that they were going to pay a boatload of money to.
And the only reason he got his chance is because they finally traded one of those outfielders, Sean Kemp, to San Diego, hanging on to Carl Crawford and Andre Ethier. 1-2 to Bird. Trying to hit that ball at the minimum to the right side. Just fought it off out of play.
Good approach by Bird, though. I mean, you can tell what he's trying to do. Give himself up right here to get that runner over to third.
Well, he doesn't advance the runner. It's up to the left side.
I finally got a real slow breaking ball there. 71 miles an hour, and after seeing fastballs in on his hands, he just couldn't wait back long enough. Pfister has never really been an extremely hard thrower. He's only had 1 year in his major league career where he's averaged 90 miles an hour on the fastball. And he's been around for 7 years. He's always had a good curveball, always had the ability to get a lot of ground balls with that sinking fastball, but he's added a cutter, got a good changeup. And he's showing that you can pitch with less than big league stuff and pitch very well. I mean, he's etched himself out a nice career. 63 wins, 60 losses, 162 starts.
2-1 to Pena, who reached on that throwing error by Fister in the second inning and scored the only Reds run of the night. Coming in from third on a 2-out double down the left field line by pitcher Anthony DeSclafani. This will be the second out of the inning if there's room, and there is for Dendecker. So Brian Price talked about it after the game yesterday, about all the little things the Reds did not do over the weekend. And here they get a leadoff double, and Jay Bruce is still standing at second base with 2 outs in the inning. So if they're going to score here, it's up to Eugenio Suarez. He had an infield hit his first time up. This time a ground ball to the shortstop. And it's in the dirt on the throw. Well, that has been certainly a chink in the armor for Ian Desmond through the years. Not as much this year, but certainly through the years. He can hit, but mistakes like this.
He just throws it down in the dirt, and Robinson on the other end is not going to pick a lot of those down there. He's not known for his defense. In fact, they're lucky that the ball didn't go all the way back by the tarp.
Desmond has almost 20% of the errors committed by the entire Nationals team this year.
That's number 19 for him. They've committed, I think, 51. Reds have 44, to put it in perspective.
And this was a guy who turned down a king's ransom of money from the Nationals.
He turned down a 7-year deal. And right now is hitting about .210 with 19 errors.
And I'm wondering if maybe, you're thinking he's second guessing whether he should have taken that deal or not.
He's not.
And that is getting heavier and heavier on his shoulders.
Well, if he's not second guessing, then something is wrong. I mean, come on. 7 years, $100 million. You say no to that? Now, he runs his life, he runs his business as he so chooses. But once you make that decision and things don't go so well, it seems like it's only human nature. You would be second guessing that decision.
You get people like us talking about it, so that's got to bug him a little bit.
Yeah.
They say, though, the guys on the team say he hasn't changed a bit. I mean, still comes out working hard every day, helps his teammates, does all the little things that he possibly can. It's just having one of those kind of off years for whatever reason. Got to weigh on you, though. With me.
2-2 pitch. And it's high to DeSclafani. He's going to make Fister earn it. Anthony doubled it. Man, he hit the ball hard down the left field line to drive in the Reds' only run his first time up. And has a chance to give him the lead for the second time in the game. Ball 4, and they are loaded for Billy Hamilton. Line drive right at Espinosa. Tough luck hitting right there for Billy. Reds leave them loaded. We're tied at 1.
I'm Jim Day. You heard Tom and Chris talk about the preparations going on in Cincinnati for the All-Star game. Let's check out some video shot today by our Fox Sports Ohio crew at the Duke Energy Convention Center, the T-Mobile Fan Fest. They are setting up for that big time. We'll have a set there. We'll be live there starting this weekend. And Barry Larkin, as Tom said, will cut the ribbon 9 a.m. Friday. And in the Reds clubhouse yesterday, after the game, as soon as the Reds flew out, they began preparations of getting everything out of there. They had to box up all the players' lockers and take it all down and get that ready for the National League All-Stars to be in that clubhouse. And Rick Stowe, the clubhouse manager for the Reds, basically said that 3 or 4 of his guys for the next 3 or 4 days are going to bunk there because there's so much to do. And like releasing a bird out of a nest, Luke Stowe is on the road for his inaugural voyage. He is the acting clubhouse guy on the road, so the Stowe family tradition continues.
Yes, it does. And hopefully will for a long time. Line drive to start the bottom of the 4th in the same fashion that ended the top of the inning. This one off the bat of Robinson, 1 out. I was talking to a couple of guys down on Rick's staff, and man, the hours they are going to log. Just clearing out. I mean, you think about it for a minute. These players that are on the Reds roster, and I'm talking about the guys that are the regulars, they're going to be there all year long. That truly becomes an area where a lot of times their dry cleaning is brought down there, and they have it down there. They keep changes of clothes. You have the uniforms. You have workout clothes, the different shoes. I mean, it's their little home away from home down there. So you're having to clear all of that out for every single Reds player.
And keep it organized enough to be able to find it again when they come back.
They actually have a company that's coming in, and they are taking all of that stuff to a warehouse. Because there comes a point in time where you just don't have the storage for all of that, even as large as Great American Ballpark is. And then, man, oh man, the work thereafter to get everything ready for the All-Star game. That ball is hit a mile, but Hamilton will come up just a step late. And that'll be a double for Danny Espinosa. There are very few balls that Hamilton does not run down.
It just seems like Billy had a bead on that, and it just hit off the side of his glove. It may have curved a little bit on him, but it hung up there enough, and you see Hamilton covers a lot of ground just to get there. Oh, good camera work there. Sure looks easy in slow-mo, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, you got a good crew here. I've worked with a lot of these guys that work on this local crew on the visitor show during the NFL season, and they do a great job. We appreciate all their hard work. All the men and women in the D.C. area. A lot of them work both teams in this region, both the Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles. We enjoyed our visit to Baltimore last year in September. Reds didn't enjoy it. That was one red-hot Baltimore Orioles team they faced in September last year, a team that wound up in the playoffs. 2-1 on Ian Desmond. So both teams here in the 4th inning with a chance to break this 1-1 tie. The Reds left them loaded on a line out by Billy Hamilton. And now a 1-out double in the Nats 4th by Espinosa.
Ortiz Cafani has gone inside, and I mean he has just missed by a hair each of the last 2 pitches. 2 really good sinking fastballs, but just a hair off the plate. I don't know how Desmond can take those.
And he comes off speed 3-1 and gets a swing and a miss. The middle infield's had a tough time getting base hits with runners in scoring position for this Nationals team. Suarez throw in time. Desmond hustling up that line. On to third goes Espinosa, 2 away in the inning. Swing and a miss by Taylor. Taylor had a really nice series in Cincinnati when the Reds swept the Nationals. He was one of the few Nationals that really swung the bat at all. He had a 3-run home run in that series. He had a 2-run single. He walked 3 times. And that was batting where he's batting tonight, down in that number 8 spot in the order. 0-2 pitch. Fastball off the outside edge. Go ahead run 90 feet away. And we'll do it again at 1 ball 2 strikes. Playable for Votto and foul ground, and good work by DeSclafani after allowing the 1-out double. We move to the 5th in a 1-1 game. Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Meyer. Find more for a healthier you at Meyer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. And we certainly welcome those of you watching tonight over at Cincinnati's Children's Hospital. We hope that you've had a good day today and a better one tomorrow. Top of the order against Pfister for the Reds. Brandon 1 for 2 in a game. Has singled and popped up down the right field line on a nice running catch made by David Espinosa. It's the third inning already in this game that Phillips has led off, and we're just in the fifth. You know, we were talking about Cueto and being that final player that is up for the final roster spot on the National League All-Star team, and how Reds fans have really stepped up in the past when they've been challenged in situations like this, which we talked about. And I'm going to tell you what now, he's got some tough company, as you would expect. Clayton Kershaw is in that group. Carlos Martinez of the St. Louis Cardinals is in that group. Brandon shoots one into right center field, but caught by Taylor, 1 out. Troy Tulowitzki of the Colorado Rockies in that group, and the young man you saw, the closer of the New York Mets, Familia, correct?
Yes. That is tough competition.
You're talking New York, L.A., St. Louis, Denver.
Because it is determined by fan vote.
Yes.
I think Reds fans could be up for that.
Oh, yeah. Joey Votto, 1 of 2, singled his last time up into right field. Fastball in. 2 balls and a strike. It's a 1-1 game. We're in the top of the 5th inning. We had a very short rain delay in the bottom of the 1st inning. The rain stopped, and we're hoping it won't come back. A bouncer foul. 2-2 to Votto. Well, it's nice to see a familiar face, beautiful smile.
Boy, is she growing up too.
It's amazing, and what a big job she has now with big company, international company. Swing and a miss by Votto. Caitlin Jackson, one of the daughters of our main man, Jesse, back on the home team. His daughter is crazy about her. IGS bringing the energy. Todd Frazier against the Nationals. How about that weekend? Not too shabby. It's so nice to see her when we come into D.C. Lives here, lived in Atlanta for a while, now here in the nation's capital. Dad is so proud of her, crazy about her, and we're thankful she came up to say hello tonight. Base hit into center field by Todd Frazier. And I did not want to leave you out. It's not like Jesse had that child by himself. So,
or raised her by himself.
Sure. So, Jesse, more importantly, and I think Jesse would agree with that, and your baby girl is doing beautifully here in the nation's capital.
Boy, it's amazing how time just flies by. Because she came up, of course, when this Nationals teams, before they became the Nationals, they were the Montreal Expos. And Katie Jackson first came up to Montreal years and years ago when she was about 10 years old and helped me out with a little thing I used to do in the pregame. I used to do, instead of our tech talk now, I used to do a stat of the day, and I had an introduction, and she was in school and taking French, and we had to translate it into French, and she gave us the Open perfectly in French as a 10-year-old, and I think her dad still has that tape.
That's cool. That's really cool. Nationals come up in the bottom of the 5th inning. We're tied at 1.
Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
All right, bottom of the 5th inning we go. In a 1-1 game, the first of 3 between the Reds and the National League Eastern Division leading Washington Nationals. You know, they had a little slump there. We were talking about them a couple of weeks ago. They were really having a hard time winning games, but all of a sudden they get here at home. And we showed you some of the pitching numbers they put together. They just swept the Giants over the weekend. And it's coincided with a slump by the New York Mets, who are now just 1 game over 500. Nationals at 10 over. A 4.5 game lead over the Mets. Foul. Now, we went quickly through that roster, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Chris, but the Nationals only have 2 players going to the All-Star game. They have Bryce Harper, who had more votes than any other National League player in history, and they have their ace, who we'll see here tomorrow night, Max Scherzer. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Kind of surprising for a team that has been so vaunted the last couple of years. You think it would be full of superstars. Now, some of the guys we've talked about have been injured this year, and that's why not having all-star years. But, I mean, here's the team that, you know, in 2012, 13, and 14, they've either come in first or second in the National League East. 2 first-place finishes, including last year. Lost to the Giants 3-1 in the LDS. That was the second year that Matt Williams was here. First year he had him at second place. They won 86 games then. And the year before that, they won 98 games.
Yeah, that was the year they won 1 more than the Reds did. Nationals won 98, Reds won 97, and both teams were bounced in the division series.
Yeah, they lost to the Cardinals in 5 games.
Well, that was it.
That was the game in which the Cardinals scored 4 runs in the 9th inning.
Yep.
Game 5, you talk about a bullpen meltdown for the Nationals. Ooh.
Complete meltdown. That'll take care of the leadoff matter, Den Decker. 2 away, and now all of a sudden we're getting another change in this Nationals lineup. Escobar is being taken out of the game, and former Marlin and longtime Atlanta Brave Dan Uggla will come into bat for Escobar. They've already brought in Dendecker to, in essence, replace Denard Span. And now Uggla for Escobar. Uggla had all those years with the Marlins, and then with Atlanta, where he's clubbing all those home runs, driving in all those runs, and all of a sudden the last couple of years, I mean, the wheels completely fell off. All 4 seemingly at one time. It got so bad the Braves a year ago just released him, despite the fact that they will pay him a ton of money over the next number of years. Swung on and fouled out of play.
I think earlier in the year he had a walk-off hit. I don't believe it was a home run. It could have been a home run to beat the Braves.
Well, he had a home run to tie the game in the 9th inning, and then he had I think it was a triple that won the game in extra innings. That was a game that really got the Nationals turned around. They were behind in that game like 8 or 9 to 1.
So that's one of those weird circumstances where the team that he beats is actually paying him to play the game that night.
Yes, he did. Here's ball 4 to Uggla. Boy, that's a hard one to figure right there for DeSclafani. I mean, it's one thing to pitch around somebody. You're not pitching around Dan Uggla to get to Bryce Harper in a 1-1 game. But that is the scenario for Anthony DeSclafani in this 1-1 game here in the 5th. Harper started 2. The appeal, he did not go around.
Good idea in the first pitch changeup. You could see Harper twitch on that, thinking it was a fastball until he realized it wasn't going to be a strike.
DeSclafani takes care of business, getting Harper to hook one to the right side, and we go to the 6th in a 1-1 game.
Happen in one place. Don't miss the 86 All-Star Game, coverage 7 Eastern. a week from tomorrow night on Fox. Give you another All-Star spotlight on this date, 1933. The first All-Star game was played at Comiskey Park in Chicago. More than 49,000 turned out. Babe Ruth connected on the first home run in All-Star game history. The two-run shot proved to be the difference as the AL won 4-2 over the NL. Chick Hafey was the lone Reds representative, and he also recorded the first ever hit in the All-Star game. And what was supposed to be just a one-time exhibition in 1933 turned into an annual staple. And the sixth All-Star game was hosted at Crosley Field in 1938, also on this date. A week from tomorrow night, 86th edition at GABP.
Can't wait, can't wait, can't wait. We just keep saying our prayers for good weather. Espinoza moves from second to third. Ugla stays in the game to play second base. Marlon Byrd fouls it out of place. We started the game with Taylor, Span, Harper. Now it goes Dendecker, Taylor, Harper. In the infield, we started with Escobar, Desmond, Espinoza, Robinson. Now Espinoza, Desmond, Ugla, Robinson. Reds have not made any changes. We're in the top of the sixth. Bird hits this ball a long way the other way, and Harper will look up, and it's gone. Or is it? Did it hit the top of the rail? They might want to take a look at this one. Brian Price is already coming all the way to the top of the dugout. Now, you have the fence up there. There's no yellow line. There's immediately some metal railing, which prevents fans, obviously, from falling over to the playing field. And let's take a look. Did the fan make any contact with that ball, Chris?
It didn't look like, at least on the view that I just saw there, Tom. I got to think that that ball hit right at the top of the pad and bounced back in. Now they're asking themselves, the umpires have all convened in the middle of the infield. What did you see? What did you see?
They're saying home run. See, this is where you make it really tough on the umpires.
Yeah.
By not having a distinct, clear-cut line of demarcation, whether it be yellow, whether it be some kind of separation between the fence and the stands. But Marlon Byrd and the Reds will take it, and now Matt Williams naturally will come out and say, well, how in the world did you come to this conclusion?
Well, the home plate umpire, Vic Carapazza's pointing to Larry Vanover and says Vanover said he saw it that way. And now they're going to ask the guys in New York to take a look at it. And they've already been looking at it, I can guarantee you that.
You know, the only question I have is, and as you look out there and you see more of a well, it's a different colored fence. It's a darker, what's a bluish green there to the right. And is that green area in front of the fans, is that a home run if it hits that? Play is under review. Call on the field originally was a double, and after a conference among the quartet of umpires, they came out of that meeting and said home run. So that's the call on the field. That is a long way from home plate. Marlon Bird.
I mean, to hit that ball opposite field, very impressive by Bird. We've seen his power stroke coming along very nicely lately, though. You know what would be helpful for the fans in the ballpark for this is especially if it's a home run call and you're not really sure what the ground rules are applied to each stadium, have the ground rules in video form on the scoreboard. So while you're waiting for the call to be reviewed, you can at least educate the viewers at home and the people at the ballpark. You say, all right, if a ball hits the padding, is it a home run or not? They're going to call it a double. So we went from a double to a home run, back to a double.
Well, we now know that green padded area has to be considered in the field of play.
Yeah.
So the Reds have a leadoff double. Line drive right at the first baseman. Boy, Pena hit that ball right on the nose. That's a loud out. You may remember the Reds had a leadoff double by Jay Bruce back in the 4th inning. 2 outs in a row were committed, and then it should have been the final out on a ground ball to Suarez, off the bat of Suarez, and Desmond committed an error. DeSclafani walked, and then Hamilton hit that rocket with the bases loaded right at the second baseman to end the inning. Suarez takes in the dirt, ball 1. The pitcher DeSclafani is next. Ball and a strike. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes on Suarez. A 1-1 game. Reds have out hit him 7-3. The Nationals have committed a pair of errors. One of them led to the Reds' only run of the game. Base hit down the line. Here comes Marlon Bird. He will score on a base hit by Eugenio Suarez, and for the second time tonight, the Reds have a 1-run lead.
Second base hit on the night by Suarez. And he continues to swing a pretty good bat there at the bottom of the lineup. That's a nice swing right there, right over Espinosa, who looks like he got up there a hair late to get that ball as it went over his head.
So now DeSclafani shows bunt on the first pitch.
He's had a good night at the plate.
Sure has. He had an RBI double down in the left field corner in the second inning to play Pena, and then walked in the 4th. And now puts down a perfect bunt. 2 away in the inning, and Suarez in a scoring position. Billy Hamilton bounced out to the first baseman Robinson, ending the second inning. And then we just mentioned that you can't hit the ball any harder than Hamilton did his last time up with the bases loaded. Just hammered. But a line drive gloved by the second baseman, then the second baseman Espinosa to retire the side. 2 runs, 8 hits for the Reds. 1 run, just 3 hits for the Nationals against DeSclafani. This one popped up behind the bag, and that'll be it for the Reds. But they break the tie. A double by Bird, a single by Suarez. 2-1 Cincinnati. So that's right. If he's going to get in, it's up to you. Go to Reds.com and cast your 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game final vote. Vote now. You can vote as many times as you want. And make sure Johnny Cueto is in that All-Star Game in Cincinnati. Voting ends at 4 p.m. Eastern Time this Friday. So here we are on Monday. Roughly 9:15. You have until 4 Eastern Friday. DeSclafani is given a second lead of the night. 1-0 at the end of 2. Nationals tied it in the 3rd. And the Reds take the lead in the top of this 6th inning. DeSclafani has had his way with the man who bats now, Ramos. This ball is stung to left center field, but Hamilton there. We showed you the position players on the National League roster. The reserves announced tonight after the starters were announced last night. Madison Bumgarner, Mr. October from a season ago. A.J. Burnett, you know about Aroldis Chapman. Look at the gas on this staff. Chapman, Cole. We'll go back to this list because there are a lot of names on there. Shelby Miller, Rosenthal, Max Scherzer, Michael Wacha. Wow, what a staff that is. And so young.
You know what strikes me about that staff immediately? There are only 2 left-handers on that team. A starter, Madison Bumgarner, and Aroldis Chapman. Now, a lot of managers will say, if I don't have a lefty, I'll take a righty with good stuff. And that staff is obviously filled with right-handers with good stuff. But it's kind of odd. Out of all those pitchers, only 2 left-handers.
And we'll take both of them on our team.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to seeing Scherzer v. Cueto tomorrow night. That is some kind of pitching matchup. The people around here just can't stop talking about Scherzer. You know, he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He went all those years, his first number of years in the big leagues, without a complete game. And despite the fact that he was, winning all these games, winning a Cy Young Award and all this kind of thing, he is such an uber competitive guy that he didn't want people thinking for a second that there's anything quote unquote soft about Max Scherzer. And the stories already are pretty impressive about big leads in the 7th inning, and all of a sudden Matt Williams wants to take him out of the game, and he's like, not a chance. He's already thrown a no-hitter this year, nearly a perfect game. Hit a batter with 2 outs in the 9th inning against the Pirates before finishing off the no-no. That ball launched into right center field, and we're tied. Espinosa, his 9th home run. Next batter is Desmond. He shoots one into right. And that'll be Michael Taylor. Reds have action in their bullpen. A one-time Washington National Ryan Matthews cranking it up. And Jeff Pico, the Reds pitching coach, will come out for a visit. The first 2 retired in this inning, but then the home run by Espinosa followed by a base hit from Desmond.
It's not like Anthony DeSclafani's been pitching in and out of trouble all night long. I mean, they have not really hit the ball all that hard. He's walked a couple of batters, 3 batters overall. None of those have scored. And it might be a matter of trying to give Matthews as much time to warm up as possible so that if Brian Price wanted to make a change, he have some options available.
So the number 8 hitter is Michael Taylor, and the Nationals already have a pinch hitter standing in the on-deck circle. That's Tyler Moore down there. So apparently Matt Williams, who has action in his bullpen, as we mentioned, has made the decision the night is over for Doug Fister. Taylor tonight has struck out looking and fouled out Tabata. Runner goes, and the throw is not in time. Give Ian Desmond his 3rd stolen base in 5 attempts.
Nationals really not a running team. I mean, Dinar Span is the guy that will run on you. He's out of the ball game. But if you don't pay attention to him, they'll swipe one when you can. And DeSclafani has kind of a long, deliberate move to the plate, and they took advantage of it. You really hate to see that with 2 outs, because what happens when you get that runner in scoring position, a bloop single here, puts his team ahead. If you keep him at first base, you give up a bloop single. It doesn't do anything to the score of the game. That's why you pay more attention with 2 outs to runners than with 1 out.
Here's a 4-pitch walk. Four walks in the game by DeSclafani. His night's over. After retiring the first 2 batters, being handed a 2-1 lead in the top of this 6th inning. A home run by Espinosa, a single, a stolen base by Desmond, a walk to Taylor, So DeSclafani cannot win it. At best, he hopes for a no decision. And boy, you know those butterflies are bouncing around the belly of the man who's our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen right now, and that is Ryan Matthews. He used to pitch for this. Summary, Reds took advantage of a throwing error by the pitcher Doug Fister to score in the second. It was an Anthony DeSclafani double that scored Brian Pena, who reached on the error. In the third, a wild pitch with the bases loaded tied the game. Stay that way until this sixth inning. A double by Marlon Byrd, and out later, a base hit down the third base line by Eugenio Suarez. But then with 2 outs and nobody on here in the bottom of the sixth inning, David Espinosa to the seats in right center. A single and a walk is followed, and now Tyler Moore will come up and pitch hit for the pitcher Fister. Moore 25 hits on the season, a .225 batter, 4 home runs and 17 driven in. First pitch swinging. Ryan Matthews will take care of him, and that'll retire the side. But the Nationals tie the game. We move 2-7, 2-2 ball game.
Out to GABP on All-Star Sunday for an exciting doubleheader. Tickets available now at allstargame.com. And part of that doubleheader is the Futures game. Kyle Waldrop and Amir Garrett will be on the U.S. team. And on the World team, at least slated, is the guy you're looking at right there, Yorman Rodriguez. But he was called up from AAA Louisville today as Josh Smith, the starting pitcher, was sent to Double-A. And the Reds need a starter on Thursday, so if he's the odd man out on Thursday, he will be in that Futures game. If he's with the big club on Sunday, obviously he will be in Miami. So it's a wait and see on that one. I'm Jim Day. Brian Pena came up to me before the game and he said, you know what, I can't stand that I'm away on my daughter's first birthday, Isabella. So I promised him that I would send out from Daddy, happy birthday, Isabella. Beautiful young daughter, turning 1 today.
Well, happy birthday to her. We hope she's had a great day. That is tough being away from kids on days like that.
Well, the good news is, though, that if she is in Miami, he will be heading down to Miami to see the family here this weekend.
Well, they would make the drive down, I guess, from Orlando. That's where they, I believe, make their permanent residence year-round now, after initially coming over into Miami. As
Blake Trinan comes into the ballgame. 30th appearance for Trinan. He is a hard thrower. 96 on the fastball, about 86 on the slider. Those are his two favorite pitches.
And he takes care of Brandon Phillips.
After seeing the soft offerings of Doug Fister all game, if he's throwing 84, 85, then you get a guy in there that's throwing 96 and drops this on you, look out.
So now Joey Votto. Votto 1 of 3 is grounded out, singled into right, and struck out his last time up. Fister goes 6, allows 8 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned run. Walked 1 batter and fanned 3. So that continues the Nationals totals. Well, you have to get through 9. In each of their last 18 games, if you didn't hear the note earlier, they have issued no more than 2 walks in each of their last 18 games. The first team to do it since 1968. That year, 2 teams did it in the same season in the same division, the Giants and the Dodgers. But you have to go all the way back to 1933 prior to that 68 season. Cardinals and the Cubs are scoreless. That game in the bottom of the 5th inning at Wrigley Field. Pirates in San Diego tied at 1, last of the 7th. The Three Rivers are in the city of Three Rivers, of course. I mean, I harken back to days gone by there for a moment. Old Three Rivers Stadium. How many great battles between the Reds and the Pirates in that ballpark.
Right.
One of the great fights of all time in that ballpark.
We probably go back to the days when they were playing baseball here at the football stadium.
That's right.
Talking about that early on.
RFK. I was here for the first ever Nationals game. It was against the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Now that had to be, what, in 2005? Because before that, they were the Montreal Expos. Yep. Played in Montreal. Then they didn't have a home to play in, so they played their home games down at Estadio Hiram Bithorn down in Puerto Rico, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Votto, his second hit of the night.
And that stadium, as I remember, and I played winter ball down in Puerto Rico, only held about 15,000 people. That's with them standing in the aisles. But it was a real treat for those folks that lived on that island to be able to see big league baseball on a semi-regular basis.
The old RFK. Maybe not so great for baseball, but man, it was lights out when the Redskins had it going on. George Allen days into the Joe Gibbs era. Had the Hogs. There's a foul ball out of play by Frazier. Literally, the stadium shook. I know many of you at home remember, the old Pat Summerall and John Madden, big games in the NFC East against the Cowboys or the Giants or whoever it was at RFK, and the cameras would be bouncing up and down. The stadium used to shake. It got so loud in there. Frazier not sure about that breaking ball called strike. Struck him out. 2 away in the inning.
That is one nasty slider. Pretty good arm they bring out in the 7th inning, I'll tell you that. I mean, they've always had good bullpens here in Washington the last few years.
That one gets away. And Votto alertly scampers on to second base, getting him into scoring position. So now, you were talking a minute ago, you know, was it a stolen base or a wild pitch, whatever the case may be, you find a way to get into scoring position, and now that little bloop single can give you the lead.
Well, he was lucky that ball didn't go all the way to the backstop. Not that Votto would have gone to third, but he blocked it with his mask.
Now they've decided they're going to intentionally walk the left-handed batting Jay Bruce. Man, they're going to go after Marlon Byrd, righty, and Byrd right now is the hottest hitter in this Reds lineup. There is no debate about that. I mean, he may not have the most impressive numbers overall of anybody on the team, but, you know, again, it's not who you play, it's when you play him. Right now, he's the hottest guy in the order.
Well, you're right, but I think they must like the matchup of Trinan stuff. I mean, he's throwing his fastball 98, and the slider is going down and away from Byrd.
Byrd is struck out, grounded to third, and then doubled. It was originally ruled a double. High off the top of the wall in right center field. The umpires got together, called it a home run, and then it went under review and came back as a 2-base hit the way it started. Strike one to Byrd. He's a 97-mile-per-hour heat. That might be the only fastball he sees in this at bat.
You know, they're pitching him really book-like, meaning they're coming right after him, fastballs in, breaking balls away. Of course, you can know what's coming when you're facing a guy throwing like Trinan, and it may not help you. Put a good swing on it.
Here's that slider. Oh, boy.
I mean, that's a disappearing pitch. I mean, when it looks this nasty from a center field camera, think about staying in the batter's box. Oftentimes a hitter tells you how good your stuff is.
Well, you just got to hope he hangs one, which he doesn't. That is nasty right there. Middle of the 7th. A 2-2 affair. Make it a part of your family Sunday. Kids 14 and younger receive a Devin Mesoraco poster presented by College Advantage. And, of course, you can take advantage of unbelievable family ticket offers they have every Sunday, along with mascot races, face painters, games, and so much more. They do it right down there at Great American Ballpark. It's a 110 game, 381-REDS, the number for tickets. Ryan Matthews only faced one batter through one pitch to end the 7th inning. And now it'll be left-hander Manny Parra.
Well, only 15 innings on the year for Parra, the situational left-hander the Reds have. He's missed some time with a neck injury that landed him on the DL. 21 games coming into this ball game today. A pretty good year. He's only given up 9 hits in 15 innings.
The Reds swept these Washington Nationals a little more than a month ago in Cincinnati. And a tight one here tonight, 2-2 in the 7th. Top of the order. Dendecker pulls it foul and out of play. 0-2 on Matt Dendecker. Jay Bruce comes in short right center for the first out of the inning. Now Dan Uggla. Both bullpens are busy. JJ for the Reds. And Casey Jansen, a right-hander, throws for Washington. One and 0 on Uggla in a 2-2 game in the last of the 7th inning. High fly ball again Jay Bruce's way. Once more he's camped underneath it. Out number 2. The producer of Reds baseball is Josh Hall. Our director Roy Alfers. Our graphics coordinator Lauren White. And Matt Sigafus. Anything you ask from Siggy, it just shows up. He's like the magic man down there.
He's probably got a lot of all-star stuff loaded and ready to go. Maybe as we go through this road trip, we'll see some snippets here and there.
You know, that's another area, and we talked about it a lot over the weekend about it. Doesn't matter what department you work in the Reds organization. It makes no difference across the board. All hands have been on deck. There's a hot smash off the bat of Harper down to Frazier. And a 1-2-3 inning for Manny Parra, and a hitless night tonight so far for Bryce Harper. We go to the 8th, tied at 2. night tonight. We'll look forward to catching up with you on Reds Live right after the ball game. Nationals go to their bullpen. They bring on Casey Janssen.
Now, Jansen's been a Blue Jay his entire major league career, which started in 2006 until this year, when he came over here to the Nationals. 16 games for Jansen.
Well, the Reds lit this guy up at Great American Ballpark.
I would imagine that anybody except for Trinan right now they'd like to see, because he came in and through the first 4 batters in this order just was lights out. Votto got the base hit, everybody else struck out.
Jansen came in to try and close out a game, the last game or the second game of the series, with the Nationals leading the Reds 5-4. There's a jam shot roller off the bat of Pena. And he retires the first batter in the inning. Jansen retired Joey Votto to start the inning. It then went double, walk, single, line out, 2-run double, intentional walk, 2-run single. Reds scored 4 times. Handed the ball to Chapman, who finished things off in an 8-5 win.
He's got 90 career saves. Had as many as 34. That was in 2013 for the Jays. Pitcher's been a little emotion, doesn't he?
I mean, he wants that baseball from the umpire right now.
That was the work the Reds did against the bullpen when the Reds hosted the Nationals earlier in the year.
That ball hit in the air down the left field line, and it is gone! A home run off the bat of Eugenio Suarez, and the Reds have a 3-2 lead. Well, this young fella's impressive. He can swing that bat.
Perfect spot, too. A little bit of a breaking ball just went down to get it, lofts a fly ball. But when you hit him down the line, the shortest part of the park, I mean right inside the pole.
Suarez has knocked in 2 of the 3 Reds runs. He has 3 hits on the night. And now Ivan De Jesus lifts one into short right that Harper will run down. De Jesus batting for Parra, who worked a perfect 7. So now the recipe is, the way Brian Price would love to draw it up every night. You hand the ball to Hoover in the 8th, and you're hoping Chapman in the 9th. Billy Hamilton 0 for 3. With all the problems the Reds had earlier this year of trying to get the ball from starter to Aroldis Chapman, and man, look, we know in April it was as ugly as it gets, and it didn't matter who they put in that role. But once Hoover settled in and Parra came off the disabled list, now it's not going to be perfect every time, but that has been a pretty rock solid trio of course Chapman. But here over about the last month and a half, Hoover and Parra in front of him.
Yeah, that has not been the problem. The problem has been Brian Price getting to a situation where he can hand it to those guys with a lead.
On the ground, in the oval. But Eugenio Suarez breaks a 2-2 tie just inside the fair pole. 3-2 Reds. Hashtag Ohio Data Strong Fan, and you might end up on an upcoming broadcast of Reds baseball. It is brought to you by T-Mobile. The Suarez home run gives the Reds a 3-2 lead. It's a third one-run lead of the ninth for the Redlegs. And now trying to protect it is right-hander J.J. Hoover.
Well, J.J.'s been awfully good. He was scored upon on April the 21st, and then not scored upon again until the last day in June. At least for an earned run. Did give up an unearned run in the Cleveland series. 5-0 on the year, earned run average 1.4.
Well, this from a guy whose season was a complete washout a year ago. 10 losses in a row to lead all major league relievers.
Well, Tom, you've mentioned many times, though, one of the only guys who never gave up on him was Brian Price.
Yep.
I mean, really had a lot of faith in him and handled him very carefully early in the year, knowing that it was important to get JJ's confidence going. And once it started rolling, I mean, he's been hard to stop. There are the numbers and how they fluctuated. Look at the middle right there. 1-10 last year.
And he was so good in 2013. He had a long consecutive scoreless inning streak, consecutive appearances, not giving up a run. One and two on Wilson Ramos. Felipe Rivero throwing in the Nationals bullpen. That's should it be tied or perhaps not even tied, being at home. Should the Reds maintain this one-run lead, and they have their closer, Drew Storen, just in case. It's interesting that Aroldis Chapman is already up and throwing for the Reds. Normally you would not see him throwing at the very start of the 8th inning.
Oh, that's a little more than just a friendly game of catch down there too.
Just off the outside corner.
Pitch number 7.
So now he's run it full on Ramos to begin the inning. And Ramos keeps fouling him off. This will be the 9th pitch in this at bat to start the last of the 8th inning after Suarez homer to break a 2-2 tie in the top of the inning. Broken bat roller to Votto. He'll wave off Hoover. 1 out. Here's the one guy that worries you a little bit. He has hit the ball right on the screws twice in this game, and that's Robinson. He walked in the 2nd inning. Hit a line drive that nearly took the glove off of Brandon Phillips in the 4th, and then a rocket one-hopper played by Suarez his last time up, and that pitch just ate him up. Broken bat pop-up, 2 away in the inning. That's getting in there.
I'm sure J.J. Hoover's happy that he only had to make 1 pitch in that at bat. This guy golfed one out of here his last time up.
Espinosa the home run to tie it in the 6th inning off DeSclafani with 2 outs and nobody on. He bats here in the 8th with 2 outs and nobody on. He's also had a double in the game. JJ jumps in front, 0-2.
He's just throwing the ball right by him right now. Wilson fouled the ball off to the right side. He was late on the fastball. Robinson was late on the pop-up that he saw the only pitch. I'm not sure you give in right here with a breaking ball and speed his bat up. Stay with the heat.
You called it. Stayed with the heat. Dribbled down to Votto. Quick feed to JJ. That's a nice catch by Hoover. And a 1-2-3 8th inning for Hoover after a perfect 7th from Parra. Go to the 9th. Reds lead by a run. That's a matchup tomorrow. We are very much looking forward to it. We invite you to join us. Two of the very best in all of baseball go toe-to-toe. Cueto v. Scherzer. Reds Live gets underway at 6:30 tomorrow night. All-Star Live gets underway at 6 o'clock. Jim Day will be very busy again tomorrow. Jim Day is going to have a very, very busy week and a half. Reds Live, 6:30 tomorrow. Felipe Rivero takes over on the mound. And for the 5th time in this game, the Reds leadoff batter leads off an inning. The 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th for Brandon Phillips. He's 1 for 4. Guy's got a little giddy up from the left side.
Well, you're not kidding about that. He's only 23 years old. Felipe Rivero out of Venezuela, originally signed by the Tampa Bay Rays, and he was traded up here and did not make a major league debut until this year. This is his 12th game of his major league career.
Whoa.
That looked like some pretty good tilt to that slider on that pitch. Nationals started Fister, 6 innings, 2 runs, 1 earned. Treinen, 1 inning, 1 hit, no runs, 3 strikeouts. Jansen, the pitcher of record right now, allowed the home run to Suarez. 1-2 on Brandon.
Well, Rivero came over for Nate Carnes. Carnes is starting down there for the Rays. He started 17 games so far with a 4-4 record. So just try to gauge what you're thinking about when you get a 23-year-old with this kind of arm. What is equal value? Well, the Nationals have to see some pretty good potential in this young man.
High fly ball into left field will be played by Dendecker, and that's out number 1. Well, the manager and general manager know each other very well here in D.C. Matt Williams, of course, after starring as a Giant 1 year with Cleveland, signed as a free agent to go back home, where he was making his year-round residence to play for the Arizona Diamondbacks. It was there he won a world championship in 2001 as a player. Mike Rizzo, there you see Mike. Longtime baseball scout, and he became the director of scouting for the Diamondbacks and was responsible for so many players that organization produced, and a lot of really good players, including Max Scherzer, that they drafted and signed, and then Rizzo would eventually become the general manager here after the Diamondbacks really made a mistake when their original general manager, Joe Garagiola Jr., stepped down. It was not Rizzo that got the job. They went outside the organization and hired Josh Burns to be the general manager. And while Burns had a run at it in Arizona and more recently in San Diego, Rizzo has gotten his chance here in D.C. and has put together some mighty good teams.
Well, he came over here, though, as an assistant general manager, did not get a job to be GM until Jim Bowden resigned. In fact, he was named the interim general manager around March the 4th in 2009. That's when Jim Bowden was involved in an investigation into some signing bonuses out of some players in the Dominican Republic. And then he was named later on in the year, Mike Rizzo that is, as the full-time GM. He's been here ever since.
95 on the fastball to strike out Votto.
Rizzo is one of those general managers that has some playing experience. He played in college at St. Xavier U. He was drafted by the Angels, and he played 3 seasons as a middle infielder for the Angels minor league organization. And that's when he went into the suit and tie part of the organization. His father, a scout that's in the Scouts Hall of Fame.
Yeah, great guy. And he works for his dad. I mean, his dad works for him now for the Nationals. Great guy. We've seen him in Chicago for years and years and years.
How would that work in your family, your dad working for you?
I think that would be a real good idea.
We got to run that by him next time we see him.
Well, I think it's a great idea. There are a lot of people that would love to see me get run out of the booth and become the director of broadcasting, and then I could be his boss.
Well, if you're a director of broadcasting, you can put yourself back in the booth.
You just ruined a lot of people's nights. One
Not
and
mine.
one to Frazier, swinging and miss, 1 ball, 2 strikes. He was texting me earlier, and I don't know what's happened to him.
It gets late early down there.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he's running around as a gapper right about now. Pitch on the way to Frazier. And Rivero puts together a 1-2-3 ninth inning. All right, here we go. If you thought Rivero threw hard from the left side, here comes the missile to try and close it out. Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your local Toyota dealer, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. 3 runs, 10 hits for the Reds. 2 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors for the Nationals. DeSclafani, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs. The bullpen has been spectacular. 2 1/3, no hit, no walk, no run frames. And now they hand it to their most lethal weapon, left-hander Aroldis Chapman.
Now 61 strikeouts for Aroldis Chapman in 35 innings. So the domination continues as far as the strikeout to inning pitch ratio. 1.7 earned run average. He's given up 1 home run this year. He gave up 1 in all of the season last year. A 1-run lead and 3 outs to go.
Facing 7, 8, and 9 in the batting order. Desmond, Taylor, and then a pinch hitter. Now Desmond has some pop in that bat. He might only have 7 home runs this year, but he is a dangerous hitter to start this inning. And first pitch swinging. Pops it up short right. You'll take that all day, every day. 1 pitch, 1 out to start it in the 9th. Of course, you know, we're going to talk about it every time Chapman comes in because it's just a reality. The rumors continue to swirl daily about the interest the teams around Major League Baseball have in this Reds closer. I mean, allegedly they are beating down the door to at least talk to the Reds about what it might take to acquire this guy to finish games.
Well, it's a perfect storm for another team that is looking for certain players. You have a team like the Reds, who a lot of people thought were going to be contending right to the very end, falling out of it, injuries being the main problem, but you have healthy players that can help other teams. And they're nearing the end of the contract. So that's what I mean by the perfect storm. Or maybe those players would be available. So teams are going to call the Reds just to find out, are you interested in moving them? And if you are, what's the starting price? And it ought to be pretty high. But of course, every time you trade somebody, you've got to get somebody in to fill in the position that you just traded away.
That's right. Two and two on Michael Taylor.
But just think about it. I mean, we showed Mike Rizzo earlier. If you're Mike Rizzo sitting up in the GM box here at Nationals Park, and you're watching Aroldis Chapman, and you're thinking, he'd be a nice piece in our bullpen. What would I be willing to give up?
Crowd trying to get behind Taylor as the count has gone to 3-2. Ball 4, tying run aboard.
Yeah, this kid can run a little bit too.
Well, they had Emmanuel Burris in the on-deck circle. They decided not to use him. It is going to be instead Jose Lobaton.
If I'm Chapman, I'm thrown over at least once, just to let him know that we're not going to pay no attention to him at all. Big lead. Not going, check swing, doesn't matter. Ball gets away from the catcher.
Is that ball in the dirt? It's hard to tell from up here. I don't know. Let's take a look. Nope.
Just not an easy guy to catch. And I'm not making excuses for Brian Pena, but guy throwing 100 miles an hour, and you're expecting in a one spot, he throws it not in that spot, you don't have a lot of reaction time.
So a tying run in scoring position. That's a foul ball. 0-2.
And I'm surprised that Taylor at second base didn't take third. I mean, there's nobody there holding him on. Now Phillips has come in a little bit on him.
Well, you know, you look at this Reds defensive alignment. There are not a lot of guys in this world that pull the role as Chapman. I'd have a hard time. Well, now they're going to move over into regular spots. I mean, they had Votto way over, closer to the second base bag. Phillips was, you know, obviously cheating to hold the runner a little bit closer, but then all of a sudden, just before Chapman went into the windup, Phillips broke hard, and so too did Votto. And Brandon's still cheating over there by the bag. Votto, right about where you normally see him play. 1-2 on Lobaton. And Dendecker.
See, if I'm running the Nationals, I'm being as aggressive as I can possibly be here, because your chances of a stolen base and a wild pitch are probably better than a base hit.
Vaughn swinging 102 miles per hour. And one out to go for Chapman.
Yeah, they took a mile per hour off on this one. The previous one was 103, but we'll call this our flamethrower nonetheless. A high four-seamer. Brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce.
And that's coming from the ultimate flamethrower. One more to go. Left-handed batting Dendecker settles in. First time he's seen Chapman. Well, this is a guy that you need to put away. I mean, Ugla may not be the guy he once was, but when he runs into a fastball, it goes a long way, or can go a long way. Dendecker not so sure about that one from Vic Carapazza. Right there on the edge, according to Fox Tracks.
I'm not so sure Chapman has thrown anything but fastballs here tonight.
And he is bringing it tonight, too. Just missed there. 2 balls and a strike to Dendecker. Tying run is Taylor. He drew a 1-out walk here in the 9th. Ground ball to Suarez. Gobbles it up. Game over. The Reds are 4-0 against the Washington Nationals this season. And their bullpen tonight almost flawless. It was only the walk issued by Chapman in the 9th inning as the only blemish. 3 1/3 innings from Matthews, Parra, Hoover, and Chapman of no-hit shutout baseball. Suarez knocks in 2, breaks a tie with a home run in the 8th. It adds up to a 3-2 victory. So it is time